Hello and welcome to Studio 77. Hi, I'm Emma and this is my channel where I teach sewing tips and tutorials. I wanted to do things a little bit different today, so one second. So I just wanted to point out this is the first time I've done a live and the first time using this software, so please do bear with me if we have any technical hiccups. Hopefully we won't and it will all go smoothly. Please pop any comments below in the chat and I will see them, and I should be able to pull them up if I can figure out this technology. Just wanted to go through what we're going to be doing today, and if you're watching this on the replay, then do pop in the comments as well that you're watching it on the replay, as I would love to know that you're watching. So over on this channel, if you're new to Studio 77, I teach sewing tips and tutorials, and I hope to inspire you to learn to sew or to give you ideas for your next sewing project. So that's a little bit about the channel, and then today what we're going to be doing is we're going to run through a few different things. So I've asked in a few Facebook groups and on my own Facebook group called Sew, Create and Craft, which is in the link in the description as well if you wanted to join that. I asked if there was any questions about my time as a creature costume maker. So I'm just going to run through how we're going to do tonight. We're going to first of all talk about who I am. You probably don't know who I am, so we're going to go through why you might want to ask me questions. Then we're going to go through questions that you may have about my time working in the film industry, and then we're going to go through questions about specific films and costumes that people have asked me, and then at the end we're going to go through any other questions that you may have. So like I say, please do pop questions in the box below and I will see if I can answer them, but your questions may be answered as we go through too. So the first thing we're going to talk about, if I can pull up, where is the question? There it is, right. So the first question I had was from Shelby on Safari, who I believe is watching. And we have some comments as well. Thanks for commenting, guys. I just try and have a quick look through, just check. I loved the shark pencil bag. Again, that's from Shelby. Thank you, Shelby. Hi, everyone. Hi, Annika. I love your new art room. It's so cool. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you love it. I have a video on my channel as well, all about how I made my workroom. So if you haven't seen that, then do check that out after the live, of course. So Shelby has asked, where do I begin with sewing? So that is one of the reasons why I started this channel, because so many people don't know where to go when they're stuck and they have a specific trouble, or they just don't know where to start. It's a bit of a minefield out there, and I know that there's hundreds of YouTube channels, but I want this to be a community. I want to build a community that we all help each other, and that I can help you if you have any specific troubles, which is why I set up the Facebook group as well. Again, that is in the description if you wanted to join that. It's a very welcoming group. I'm always on there. I always see your posts. I love seeing what you make, especially if it's from my tutorials, but not only my tutorials. And so you can ask me questions on there. But if you want to learn how to sew, there's also in the description, there is a playlist for all my beginner projects and videos. I've also got tips on needles. I've got the best tools to buy and look for when you're beginning sewing, and all of those kinds of different things. So hopefully that has answered your question, Shelby, and anyone else that may be stuck on how to start sewing. So the next question we have is from Tiffany, and she is from the channel A Girl and Her Passport, and she has asked, how do I sew on a button? And there is no question, so I always say there is no question that is wrong, and everybody starts from the beginning. So whether you're asking, you know, how to sew on a button, or how to repair that hole in those jeans, or that kind of thing, what I've decided to do is that I'm now going to do that over on my Instagram feed, on my Instagram Reels. So if you have any specific requests for little things like that that you're just not sure about, that may not be a longer form video, then you feel free to DM me. I'm over on Instagram. I'm on all the socials as Studio7T7, so you got that T in the middle. And feel free to DM me or comment on any posts, or put it in the Facebook group, or even on YouTube as a comment in the comments below. That's totally fine. And I will try and make a reel for you at some point going through those specific things. So Tiffany, I've got a reel coming for you how to sew on a button. And so the next question I have, oh, I wanted to say as well, if at any point that you are liking this video, please do give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel and my video. And also, if you haven't subscribed, please do hit it's on the wrong side. I think it's down there. Hit the subscribe button and the bell, and then you won't miss out on any tutorials that I have coming up, because I would love for you to be a part of this community. So that is the first couple of questions about sewing. So who am I? As I say, I'm Emma. I have been sewing since I was tiny, when I got given my first sewing machine as a little girl, and fell in love with it. I then went on and, of course, did it at college and uni. I had an amazing teacher who helped me to figure out what I wanted to do. I saw that I wanted to do creature costumes. I was desperately in love with Labyrinth as a child, the film Labyrinth with David Bowie, you know, that kind of slightly cringy but also absolutely amazing film from the 80s. And I really wanted to make the characters like Hoggle and Ludo, and I didn't know how to do that. Like, how would you even do that kind of thing? So I had an amazing teacher at school, was very lucky, and she told me that there was a great course at London College of Fashion. So I kind of pushed everything to go to do that course at London College of Fashion. That course is still going if you were interested in this kind of a career and didn't know where to go, and you are able to study in London. So that is a course at London College of Fashion, and I did costume, makeup and technical effects for the performing arts. So I did a year and a half of costume, and then I did a year and a half of special effects. Since 2002, I've spent nearly 20 years in the film industry, helping to create different characters and creatures, as I will talk about on this live, because I've had a few questions related to that. So that's who I am. I've also, obviously, since September, wanted to start teaching some of the skills that I've learned as a creature costume maker and as a sewist over all these years. I wanted to pass that on, and so the birth of the Studio 77 YouTube channel began. But before that, I have been making toys and small items to sell since, I think around 2011. So I've had a small business for a long time as well. So if you have any questions, or you would like me to make any content in the future about a small business, or how to sell things on Etsy or anything like that, then do let me know, because I can also cover that too if you're interested. I want to make videos that you want to see. So if you ever have any suggestions, do pop them down below and let me know. So that's who I am, and we will move on to our next question. And I'll just check and see if there's anyone in the chat there. So thank you guys for all commenting. Hi, Ali from Literary Sewist, also an amazing sewing channel. Do check her out as well. And just checking in case I've missed anything. And I think, let's see, I can. See, I've not used this technology. West Dakota, LOL, I love the scrolling bar, feels like a niche channel. Thanks, West Dakota. I'm glad you're loving it. It's all new, as I say. Hi, Kristen from KMG Handmade. Oh, she makes the most amazing patterns, and I've got another one of her patterns coming up in the next couple of weeks, so you don't want to miss that out. Do hit the bell if you're a bag maker, because you're going to love that one. It's an amazing pattern. And she's very kindly let me do her patterns on this channel. West Dakota says the dark crystal is amazing too. And sorry, Tiffany from A Girl and Her Passport, I love that movie too. Such a good movie, isn't it? I know, all about Labyrinth here. Okay, so Shelby says, see, you do know how to do makeup. Okay, Ken, I've seen your question. I'm going to pop back to you in a second. Right. So the first question, if I can get to it, we are going to start with, like I say, questions about working in the film industry. So I get asked this question a lot, and Natasha and Eat Tea Rich, I'm sorry I don't know your real name, but these two people specifically asked me this question on Facebook, and that was, how did you get into the film industry? So, like I said before, I went to London College of Fashion, which is part of the University of Arts in London, and did an amazing 3 years BA Honours degree there. And after that, or during that actually, I did lots of short films and low budget kind of films, unpaid work basically. I had read or seen, someone had told me that you kind of need to get a CV before you can approach the kind of bigger projects, the kind of paid things, that you need a bit of a CV to show that, you know, that you've got a little bit of experience, even if it's unpaid or short film. So that's what I did. I went on mandy.com and shootingpeople.org. I'm not sure if those sites are still going. Hopefully they are, because they were amazing. And I just kind of put myself out there that I would do anything costume related. And I did a little bit of makeup as well. And I just kind of got about 10 things onto my CV before I left my uni, which was, of course, quite tricky because I was working alongside my degree as well. But I highly recommend that if anyone is wanting to go that route. So I'm kind of talking to you as if you are looking to go that route, in case that is helpful. So that's what I did at university. And then after university, I obviously had this CV, and I then knew that Harry Potter was taking trainees, and I knew that some people from the years above me had worked on there. So it was coming up. I knew that they were currently doing number 2 and Chamber of Secrets, and I was really desperate to get onto number 3. So I put my CV out there. I sent my CV off to loads of different people, and I got a letter back saying, yeah, you can come for an interview, which was amazing. It took me about, I was overjoyed when I got that letter to say you can come for an interview. And it took me about 3 months of calling every other day. They must have so many people trying to go for an interview. And finally, I got to go to an interview, which was amazing. And I started, so that was just before Christmas. And then I started after Christmas as a trainee on Harry Potter 3, The Prisoner of Azkaban. So that was my first big film. I was still in between, leaving uni in July, and then I was still doing lots of little small projects, low budget things, just kind of things that I could still keep ticking over, and I met some more amazing people along that journey as well. And yeah, Harry Potter was my first big film, and then it kind of snowballed from there as I got to meet other people, and they got to see my work. My portfolio is the other thing. You need a portfolio. So obviously all these little things that I'd done, I'd built my portfolio up as well. And then with my college work as well, I had this kind of big portfolio that I could then take round and show people. And I just, anywhere that I could find on, there was I forget the name of the book now, but there was like an industry book, and I found this was a little kind of before the internet. I'm showing my age now, but this was, I just sent off my CV to loads of different places, and a few people kind of, rang me up or whatever, and eventually I managed to get through. So it is a little bit of who you know, kind of things like that. So next question. Okay. Oh, get rid of that one. That would be helpful. So Michelle has asked, I guess I would want to know how you got your start in the industry. So hopefully I've covered that, Michelle, if you're watching. And then you said, was it luck? Was it knowing the right people? Was it putting yourself in the right places to be seen? So I would say it's a combination of all of those things. I do believe luck comes into it, but I also believe that you do make your own luck in a lot of ways. I don't know if that's a controversial thing to say. So it was a little bit of being in the right place. So the college that I went to, the final course, they had people coming to the kind of the show that are in the industry already. So they came and they were able to look through our portfolios, things like that. And it was then at my first interview for Harry Potter that the head of fabrication, Mr. Daymerch, who is still a good friend of mine, he had seen my portfolio, unbeknownst to me, at my degree show. So that was kind of a little bit of being in the right place, I guess, going to the right course, things like that. So it's important, if you are choosing a course to go to in any kind of thing like this, where it's a little bit hard to get into, that you find out the links of that college with the actual industry. Do they have links with the industry? Are they having external tutors come in that have got their hand, still in the industry? They know all the different things that are going on. That's a really important question to ask. So I hope I've answered your question, Michelle, if you're watching. If not, please do comment below and I can see if I can help any more. And so let's get rid of Michelle's question, and I'm just gonna pull up Ali from the Literary Sewist. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Words to live by. Sounds like this is you in spades. Yes, thank you, Ali. I totally agree. And then we have another question, another comment. Never have shame for loving Labyrinth. Yes, David Bowie is love. I agree. He's amazing. And then Annika has a sewing question. Hi, Annika. Annika is my niece. So hello, Annika. Hi, how do you keep your threads neat and not get them tangled? Well, I also have a reel on that over on my Instagram. So if you are interested, you can pop over there, instagram.com/studio77. And I found this amazing, and they sell them, in loads of different places. But I found this amazing kind of thread spool rack that I got from a company called plushaddict.com, which is here in the UK. And I just have them all displayed on there. So you can see that in the back of some of my videos sometimes. Okay, so moving on, we have, bear with me guys, sorry, we had that one. Okay, so for a different Michelle this time, what has been your wow moment working on films? Well, that's kind of a tricky question. So I did have a little bit of a think about this, and it may be, well, one, I think people are gonna say, oh yeah, of course, and then one may surprise people. So I have, and I'm hoping that I've got this synced. Yeah, I think so. So a wow moment for me was working on The Witches a couple of years ago, and I helped to make the dress that's on the screen right now. I made the snake so I'm always a small cog in a big team. So along with a lady called Janet Burns, we made the snake that is wrapped around Anne Hathaway's dress, and a whole other team made the actual base, the beautiful cut of that dress. Absolutely stunning costume team on The Witches. And a wow moment was, and it was just a small snippet, but I was on set, I can't even remember why we were on set, just checking that the dress fitted, I think, and seeing them film the moments when she says, now take off your wig and your gloves and all of that. And having loved The Witches as a kid, to be there and see that scene unfold was really special. And I think that would surprise quite a few people, because it's not one of the kind of huge cult films. But yeah, that was a kind of one of the recent pinch myself moments. So that may be one that people don't know about. So I wanted to mention that. And then the second one, I think you probably will be thinking that would be an obvious wow moment. And it is, of course, when Harrison Ford and Chewie, or Han Solo and Chewie, are together for the first time on The Force Awakens, which I helped to make Chewie on, and when he says, Chewie, we're home, which was, really rather special to see that unfold, and to be there. It's unusual as a creature costume maker to sort of be on set for the whole time, and so that was a really special job for me on The Force Awakens, because I was there throughout the filming for about 6 months, helping to look after Chewie with my colleague Maria Cork, who does all the hair of Chewie and has an amazing hair team, and we were helping to look after him for 6 months. So that was definitely a wow moment, seeing those kind of moments, those key moments that you kind of know are going to be iconic unfold. So that was really, really special. So just checking that I haven't missed anything. Sarah, I am going to answer your question later. Thank you. What was your favourite film to work on? Sarah has asked. Let me get rid of that one. And oh gosh, where are you? Okay, that one. So what was your favourite film to work on? So I'm going to answer that in a minute, Sarah. Thank you. Emily says, made it, thank you, glad you could come. Shelby says, yay, photos. Thank you, Shelby, I hope it's going to keep working for me. Emily says, that's exquisite. I'm not sure which you're talking about, but maybe it's the witch's picture. Emily asks, what tools can you not do without? Okay, I'm going to answer these questions at the end. Do remind me if I haven't. And if I don't get around to your question, I will answer afterwards in the chat. What is your design process for creating on a project? I'm sure... Okay, I'm going to answer that at the end, Ali. Thank you. So, moving on to... If I can find it. Sumi had a question from Facebook. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a quick drink. Sumi says, could you elaborate on how you got to your skill level, like classes you took and learning on the job, little things that stuck in your head, as well as what really inspired you to keep going at this job? So, elaborate on how you got to your skill level. So, like I say, I went to London College of Fashion and I did a degree. Extra classes, I didn't really take any extra classes other than my degree. So I guess that kind of answers your question. I take lots of classes that are not related to costume. I suppose because it's so niche, there aren't really any classes that you can take, but I love all kind of, as you may have gathered from my channel, I love all kinds of sewing. So I'm always up for classes, whether it just be to learn or as an excuse to kind of go away and make something. I love classes like that. So maybe it'll be something that I do in the future. I'm not sure about hosting classes. I'd like to do that. Classes you took and learning on the job. Yes, loads of learning on the job. Loads of learning. And I remember my great teacher at London College of Fashion called Biddy. She always said, the day you stop learning, you stop. And I think that's a really interesting thing to think about, that if you're not kind of learning or pushing the boundaries or thinking about different things that you can do, then you're not learning new things, and then it doesn't get interest. It doesn't keep it interesting, doesn't keep it fresh. So every single job, it's almost always never been done before. Obviously, Chewie had been done before, so that goes against the grain, but usually it's never been done before. We have to think completely outside of the box with creature costume, and the kind of specific job that I do is called a fabricator, or fabrication is the department. And so we're always thinking outside of the box. So everything is brand new and fresh, and we have to think. So we have to be up on all different techniques, different materials, a lot of R&D. A lot of the time, if we have time, I don't always have the time or the budget to do that, but depending on the project, we do lots of research, and it will, you know, the different specific characters will need different things putting into them. And what really inspired you to keep going at the job? So I guess it's always what I've wanted to do since I was little, like I said before. And my mum always taught me to reach for the moon. Both my parents are very supportive, and they always taught me to, you know, anything you can do. And I really believe that. I always tell anyone that may, you know, be unsure, if you want to do it, there's a way to do it. You will get there. Just keep striving, you will get there. So if anybody needs to hear that, then please keep going, and you will get to where you need to be. Okay. Okay, so that was Sumi's question. So moving on to Madeline's questions. Are there special or specific machines to construct some of these costumes? Are they all hand sewn, or are there parts that are glued together? And this kind of is going to answer Ali's question as well, which I'll just pop up in the chat. Maybe I can make that smaller. Oh no, I move that up there. That's better. So Ali asks as well, what is your design process for creating on a project? I'm sure the situation depends on who you're working with, but coming into things, how does that go? So hopefully this is kind of going to answer both of those. So there aren't really special or specific machines. We use domestic machines, we use industrial machines, and depending on the project, you know, we flip between the two. We don't have special machines. It's just regular sewing, just like you guys all do. You know, it's no different to that. They are all hand sewn, as in they, well, they're not hand sewn. They're on machines, but we do a lot of hand sewing as well. To go with that, and there's lots of gluing involved as a fabricator, so you have to be able to sew really neatly and to glue really neatly as well, and it depends on the structure of what you're doing as to what specific materials you're going to be using. So Ali's asked, what's the design process for creating the project? Again, it really depends. So we'll be given an image, a 2D design from the design department, and then we will have to realize it. So often it will be, if we're talking about a costume and not an animatronic that has not got a person inside, I should add, then we have to look at how the actor sits inside that costume. When the actor moves their shoulder and the character's shoulder's up here, how does that movement translate to the outside and things like that? So we have to kind of deconstruct it and work from the actor out so that we can figure out what structures to use and how to go about it. I hope that answers your question. Okay. And we are moving on. Okay, similar question. Michelle again. I'd love to know, what's the most difficult material you found yourself working with over the years? So, the most difficult material would have to be for this guy. So this is the Flash, and this is Ezra Miller as the Flash in Justice League, and I helped to, again, as part of a large team, I helped to make just the head piece, the cowl for this, and it was really like a jigsaw. So each one of the little pieces going across the neck, each one of those red pieces is a separate segment, and then they're glued to a lycra base, and it's made out of polyurethane. So that is, you know, really, it was really tricky to glue those pieces together. Polyurethane is a particularly tricky material to work with, just because the glues that you have to use are really toxic, and it's tricky to put it all together. So that was definitely the most difficult material that we constantly have to work with, mainly because of the the way that we attach them all together. And Shelby says, let me get rid of Ezra and pull up Shelby's comment. Shelby says, the fastest man alive. Indeed. Fastest man alive. So then we have, okay, so then Shelby has a question. What's your favourite costume piece that you've made? And I believe someone in the chat asked that. So Sarah, let's pull up Sarah as well. Sarah asks, what was your favourite film to work on? So I guess they're kind of different. Same but different. So the favourite, let's move Sarah over there. The favourite costume that I've made has to be this guy. And this is, in case you don't know, this is Iggle Piggle from In the Night Garden. And again, there was a few of us on the team for the suit, and then there's a different team that did all the animatronics in the head, and the head as well. I did sort of from the neck down, and then I looked after him on set. And this guy, I think because he was quite different in his structure, we made him like a quilt. It was, I think it was 500 triangles in one suit, and we made 3 suits of like baby cushions, really. Triangles that were all attached together, all underneath the suit, and that made him super squishy. So he is as squishy as he looks, played by the very talented actor Nick Kellington. And he was just, really lovely. It was really lovely to work on that show. I made some amazing lifelong friends, and I think we filmed it for about 1.5 years, and that was up in Stratford-on-Avon. So obviously that's got a big place in my life because I spent so long on it. But then also reliving it with both my children, as they both love the, In the Night Garden. They both fell in love with it. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Shelby. And what was your favourite film to work on? It probably was In the Night Garden, all being said, but so many different projects have got different places in my heart for different reasons. Like I said earlier, it was really special working on Star Wars, seeing that all come to fruition. But yeah, if every project has a different kind of specialness about it. It might be the team or the end result, or because I've, like when I worked on Batman, I always wanted to work on Batman, so that was really special. Okay, so and I'm going to take away Iggle Piggle, and then we have another question from Shelby. Shelby asked me lots of questions. Thank you, Shelby. What did you do on Harry Potter? So I did a few things on Harry Potter. So I worked on number 3, and I worked on the last 2 as well. So, I just need to check. Sorry, Emily, I missed. Did you talk about your inspiration for moving into this field? I did touch on it, Emily. I was very inspired as a child by Labyrinth, amongst other films, and was desperate to sort of work with, I wanted to work with, in the Jim Henson Creature Shop. Alas, I never actually did because the London branch closed before I was able to, but I've worked with a lot of people that did work on Labyrinth and various other films, so I class that as the same. So hopefully that has answered that question, Emily. Thank you. Emily says, my daughter loved the In the Night Garden. Yes, it's a really rather special show. And she also says, we still have the mini plush toys for the 3 characters. Oh, yeah, they're so loved, aren't they? It's really sweet. It's really lovely seeing how many people love those characters. Okay, so going back to Shelby, Sarah, I'm going to answer your question in a little bit. What did you do on Harry Potter? So like I say, I was on number 3 and then the last 2, which I always forget the numbers. Apologies if you're a huge Harry Potter fan. So I helped to create the main 2 things that I helped. Well, there's a few things. So on number 3, I helped to create this lady, not a guy, this lady, Aunt Marge. And in case you haven't seen it, I'm sure you have, but in case you haven't, Harry makes her kind of blow up. She's horrible to Harry, and he makes her blow up and fly away into the sky. So we helped to make different stages. It was, as I say, it was the first film I worked on, so it was really lovely to be a small cog in that wheel and to help to see that come to life. And I'll never forget seeing that being filmed as well when she's flying in the sky. So that was one of the first things that I ever did. And then I also helped to make the werewolf, which is pretty much the physical version that we made is not in the film. It's CG in the film, but you can see the version that we made in the Harry Potter Warner Brothers studio tour in London, and you can see the werewolf that we made there. So I don't have a picture of that, but I do have a picture, for some reason it's jumped around, of these guys, and this is predominantly what I was doing on the last 2 for the huge Gringotts Bank scene in the last film. So lots and lots of goblin heads and hands, and I was looking after the kind of background goblins. There was a lot of goblins that had prosthetics, and I was looking after the background goblins. So that's what I did on Harry Potter. I hope that's answered your question, Shelby. And then we have a question from Dawn. Did you, excuse me, lost my voice. Did you install a voice box into the Chewbacca outfit for him to speak? No, we didn't. So I actually had to look this up just to double check, because I know I got told it, but I forgot the actual name. So for The Force Awakens, Jonas was playing Chewie alongside Peter Mayhew. And when Jonas was on set, he just did the kind of his version of Chewie. He did a little Chewie voice to help, you know, everything go along. And then the actual Chewie voice is then made up from a mixture of grunts and growls of different animals, including bears, walruses, and lions. So it's a mixture of all different animals that they bring together. But then on the original trilogy, I know that Peter, when he was playing Chewie, he actually spoke English lines, you know, as a human through the Chewie suit to help the other actors around him with the story. And then, of course, that was taken out, and then they made the sound over the top of him, in case you didn't know that. So thank you for that question, Dawn. Then we have Natasha. Natasha has asked, did you meet any of the Star Wars actors? And yes, I did. Like I say, I was on set with them for around 6 months. So obviously we were working alongside all the different characters, the different actors. And I didn't, you know, speak to them at length because there wasn't any need to, other than in passing, but they were all really lovely, and it was a really lovely crew, really lovely team, and it was really special to be a part of it. So hopefully that answered your question, Natasha, if you're watching. And we've just got a couple more, and then I will move to the chat and see if we have any more questions. I've got another question from Natasha. What did you love about it the most? So, and you're talking about films, working in films. So I think the different things. I mean, there's so many things that are enjoyable when you work in film. Being on set is really quite special. You know, that kind of hustle and bustle, and seeing it all come together, and all the different departments. You know, everybody's playing this small part to make this big kind of thing come together, which is really quite special. The people are always amazing. There's, you know, I've made some really lovely friends through the industry, and yeah, I guess when you're spending so much time together as well, you know, you become quite close. It's sort of like a different, you know, it's a bit cliche, but it's almost like another family. So that's a really nice aspect of it. And then of course seeing your work come up on screen, and having people react to that work, and people instantly know that work, and sort of, like I said earlier about my children, you know, being in love with Iggle Piggle is just really, and the characters of In the Night Garden, it's just really lovely to have that come around every now and then, and know that I had a sort of part in that. So I think that's the things that I love about it the most, just making something and then seeing it, you know, be loved and be used in part of something that all comes together as an amazing film. So yeah, I think that's not really one thing, but hopefully that answers your question, Natasha. So that has come to the end of the pre-planned questions that I had, and now I'm going to see if you have any more questions. Don't forget, you can pop them in the chat and I will have a look and pull them up and see if I can answer them. So we have Sarah. Sarah has asked, have you got any future film projects lined up? I do. I have just finished working on a new film. Unfortunately, I can't tell you what it is because, of course, I have to sign NDAs for everything. I've probably already said too much on this live. Hopefully not, and hopefully no one will come after me. But yes, I do have, or I have just finished something that I think is going to be really great when it comes out. That's a much loved story that I'm looking forward to see. What else? I'm working on something else right now. I've got another week on it next week, and I think that's also going to be really lovely. But again, I can't tell you what that is. Sorry, that's not very helpful, is it? But yeah, hopefully I'll have some more coming up, and when I can tell you about them, I will. It's not hugely helpful, I'm sorry, but it's just because of the NDAs, we're not allowed to talk very much about it. Sarah again, thank you. Do you decide what the costumes are going to look like? No, so on a production or project, you would have the costume designer or the creature designer, and they will design something. Often nowadays that is, you know, on a computer, they'll design something beautiful, and then they will come to you and they will say, this is how we want it to look. And they will, if it's varies slightly between creatures and costume department. If it's in the costume department, they will pick all the different fabrics and the different things that they want to go into that particular costume. And you will be, you know, down to the stitch length, they will decide kind of exactly how it looks. Sometimes you get to have a little play and they will want you to do a bit of R&D, and then you can sort of, I don't know if you're really having a say in it because they're asking what they want you to do, but sometimes you can have a little say. It depends on the designer, but largely it's their vision that you're kind of bringing to fruition, if that makes sense. And in creatures, you have a little bit more leeway usually, but again, it depends. It's as long as a piece of string, so I don't know how helpful that is to answer your question, but hopefully that does. But generally, no is the answer. Okay, I have another question from Sarah. If you're working on the new Batman film, say hi to Robert Pattinson from me. I can say I'm not working on the Batman film, but if I was, I don't know if I'd be able to, but I would do my best to say hello. Thanks, Sarah. Shelby says, what franchise have you yet to work with but you'd really want to, or a book that you'd like to see turn to film? I would really like to have worked on his Dark Materials, the recent one. I did one day on the film that was made a few years ago. I just did what's called a daily, when you literally go in for one day or more, but you never know how long it's going to be. I did one day kind of taking up hems and things in the costume department on that, but I'd really would have loved to have been a part of his Dark Materials and Hunger Games as well. I would have loved to have been a part of, but obviously those have sadly passed. But who knows what will happen in the future. Thank you, Shelby. Annika, and I know you had another comment that I'm going to bring up. Love your necklace. Thank you, Annika. This necklace is from, if anybody else is wondering, is from Little Pig Designs, I believe it is. I will pop it in the description when I've finished. And she did this necklace as a charity fundraiser to go towards research into motor neuron disease. So that's why, one of the reasons why I bought it, and I love to wear it because it reminds me of having hope. In case that isn't obvious. Okay, and then Annika, you've got another question. And do you ever make any costumes for yourself? And do you ever think you will have a costume or clothing line? I don't think I would ever have a costume or clothing line. I'll answer that first. Yeah, I don't think I would ever do that. I love making clothes. And as you may have seen from my channel, I do have a couple of clothes making tutorials, but my passion is definitely in the smaller projects, the bags, things like that, toys. I love making toys, and I love showing people how to make things like that. So although I love doing it, I'm going to put more of my personal sort of clothes making over on my Instagram feed and my Instagram reels, just because I've decided that this channel I'm going to niche down and I'm not going to do any more clothes. So if you are interested in that, I have decided this year as well that I'm not going to buy any more clothes for myself. Everything has to be made. Recently I discovered that my raincoat has broken, so I think I may be regretting that decision, but it's for all the right reasons, so I need to keep going. But thank you for asking that. Costumes-wise, do I make costumes for myself? I do if I have something that I need to go to, like a costume party or, Halloween, that kind of thing. I do like to do a bit of face painting, so yeah, when we can go to Halloween parties and things again, I will do that. And Annika, if you'd like a costume, just let me know. In case that's what you're asking, as my niece, I'm sure I can help. Okay, so Shelby says they still have a third series to make of his Dark Materials. Yes, they do. Who knows what will happen? Sarah says, would you like to design costumes in the future, or do you prefer sewing them? I definitely prefer sewing them. I did design the puppet costumes for a TV show called Yonderland, which was on Sky One over here in the UK. And if anyone can check it out, it's really funny. It's by the guys that made not his Dark Materials, Horrible Histories, a very different show. Horrible Histories. So if you've watched that, the guys that make that, absolutely brilliant. Highly recommend you check out Yonderland. And I designed the puppet costumes on that, and that was lots of fun. And but I don't know that that's where my passion lies. I love the kind of soft engineering, the soft sculpting, working out those kind of structures. And designing, I wouldn't be able to do that. So definitely prefer making them and using all the different materials that involve. So some of the materials that we use are silicone we use foam latex, polyurethane, like I mentioned for the flash. But we use that a lot for different characters. Plastisate or EVA foam, that's called, which is sort of like, if you don't know what that is, it's like the craft foam that you get in your local craft store. You get it really thin there, but it's in a thicker density, and then we pattern that to make very lightweight shapes, and a lot of cosplayers use that as well because it's so versatile. and easy to sort of pattern from. And then we use what's called retriculated foam, which is a bit like upholstery foam, but it's like a higher grade. It's a different kind of density how they make it. So we use that as well, and in the same way we sculpt that into different shapes. Or for example, if I was making a fat suit, I do a lot of fat suits. Just to change people's body shapes. You know, they might cast someone who's thin and they want them to be a different shape in the show. So then we can use retriculated foam to carve the shapes out of, and we use things like teddy bear stuffing as well to give different weights, things like that. That's a little bit more than you asked, but hopefully that helps. There we go. Shelby is saying, I'm hoping Emma will make me a Gamora outfit for my birthday. Oh, maybe one day, Shelby. I'd have to assemble quite a large team for that one. KMG Handmade. My youngest would like to be Kermit the Frog for Halloween. Let's chat. Yeah, let's chat. Sarah says, love Horrible Histories. Yes, such a good show. I think they're taking it off of Netflix though, which is really upsetting. Please bring it back. We love to watch that as a family. Annika says, thanks for asking. No, I don't need a costume, but I love this Q&A. It's so interesting. Oh, thank you, Annika. Sarah says, do you have to travel a lot with the film sets? So weirdly, I haven't actually travelled that much. Not sure why. That's just luck or not lucky, depending on which way you look at it. I have been very lucky to go to Iceland 3 times, which is incredibly lucky because it's obviously a very expensive country to visit. I went twice with Star Wars, and then I went with Thor 2 as well, and it's such a beautiful country, so really recommend it if you can go. But I haven't travelled that much. I've travelled in the UK to different sets and things, locations, but not abroad hugely. And that's mainly because generally I'm in the workroom. I don't take everything onto set. Just depending on the project. Often, if it's like a superhero film, so you get like the costume department, then you get the wardrobe department, and then if it's something like that, you'll get costume effects. Sometimes they call it something different, sometimes they call it special makeup effects, and then we'll come under that umbrella even though we're not technically makeup, if that makes sense. It's all very confusing. So yes, if it's a superhero film, something like that, then generally the costume department would then take that into the ward. So the costume department are the department that make the costumes, generally, sometimes things change. But the costume department are the department that make the costumes, and then wardrobe are the department that look after it on set. So they will dress the actors, they will clean anything that needs to be cleaned, they will look after continuity, that kind of thing. So on that kind of a film, a superhero film, we would make the costume, and then typically that would then move across to the wardrobe department, who would then look after it on set, and they would have their own team. So like I say, it varies differently depending on the job. If it's in a creature department on Star Wars, they have their own, and Harry Potter, they have their own creature department, creature effects. And then it may be that one of us would then go onto set, or a few of us, to look after it. And usually if that happens, there'll be a fabricator. So there's many departments within creatures. There will be a fabricator, there might be a painter as well. There might be a hair person if there's a lot of hair involved. And there, more often than not, there would be a mechanic as well to make sure all the electronics are running smoothly. Because if any of those bits go wrong on set, then they need someone to kind of jump in there super quick so that there's no break in the filming, so that we can get it fixed and keep everything moving. And so Honest Bee by G says, amazing, Emma, thank you so much. Shelby says Team Thor. And Shelby says, what superhero films have you worked with? Have you worked on? I'm going to go with that. So what superhero films have I worked on? I suppose the quickest way to answer that is I've put in the description a link to my IMDb, which tells you my sort of full credits if anybody is interested in that, and you can see all the different things I've worked on. I realised that I needed to update it when I had a look at that yesterday, so there's a couple of things that are waiting to go through. But what's Justice League, like I talked about, Batman Begins, Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy. Is that everything? I think that's everything. I've probably missed one. So hopefully that answered your question, Shelby. Sarah. Oh, Shelby's just saying. Sorry, I'll come back to you, Sarah. Shelby's just saying, yeah, I sent it before I could fix my grammar. That's okay. That's okay. Thank you. Sarah is saying, what sort of things did you make for your final uni project that made your portfolio stand out? So in the final year, when I was there, and I know it's changed now, but in the final year, the year was made up of 3 projects. And the first project was set by the uni, and they gave us a brief, and that particular brief that year was Heaven and Hell. So we could do anything around that. I think they said we couldn't do the devil, but pretty much everything else, you know, because it's too sort of cliche, but everything else we could do. So I won't go into too much details, but something that I'm passionate about is vivisection. So I did a project on vivisection for that, and I knew that I wanted to have a puppet in there that was a hairy puppet, if you like. So I chose to make a monkey as part of that. So I had to then fur it, and we obviously at college we did everything ourselves. So it had to be sculpted, moulded, cast, and then I haired it. I did fur replacement, all those kind of different things, painted it, and made it into an arm puppet, if I can get my words out. So that's what I did for my first project of my final year. Then after that, we then had to do a show. So we did literally, you know, a proper stage show. And again, that was dictated by the college. They got a designer in and they handed out the designs as if we were working in the industry. And then we had to make it, you know, on college campus and at home, a mixture of the two. We got put with different partners as well where that was needed, and then they put on a show, which was really great because then people from the industry were then invited to that show to come and see the work, and you know, obviously they had a program so they could see, you know, who made what within that show. So I think that helped. And then the final project, and what was really good as well, was that they were short, snappy projects, which is what it's like in the industry. It moves really fast. You have to do lots of different things. And although it was completely crazy at the time, and we were all kind of rocking in the corner by the end of it, it really put us up for a good stead of actually how it is in the industry. Our final project was something that we could write our own brief for, and we could do whatever we wanted. So for that, I lost my train of thought then. For that, I then decided that I wanted to do a retriculated foam, like I talked about earlier, so upholstery foam kind of thing that was completely sculpted from foam. So I did as if the Muppets were doing Moulin Rouge. So I wanted to do Miss Piggy, but I was encouraged not to do Miss Piggy. So I did a dancing poodle, as if she was in the kind of chorus of Moulin Rouge, because I love Moulin Rouge. And so that was like a standalone piece. So that then when I finished, I knew I'd have a hairy foam latex creature. I got given a full costume for the show, which was lucky because that worked with my plan. And then I had a retriculated foam puppet. So I had a very varied final year that showed off different skills, and that's what I aimed for. So hopefully that answered your question, Sarah. And then we have Honest Bee by G. Grace. Hello, Grace. Do you ever find yourself analysing other costumes when watching other movies? Do you know, I think it's impossible not to. I definitely do find myself doing that. I think anything you do, you're going to analyze different things. I mean, mostly I can't think of the last time I watched something that I thought that's terrible. You know, everything now is just like knocked out of the park in terms of technology and craftsmanship. So yeah, I think it's really hard not to analyze watching other things. You know, analyzing costumes when you're watching other things, for sure. Thank you so much, Grace. So unless you have any other questions, I'm sorry this has been going on for almost exactly an hour, which is kind of what I planned to be my maximum. So if you want to have any more questions, do pop them in the chat and I will bring you up on screen and let you know the answer. Oh, we do have another one from Ali, just in there in the nick of time, Ali, thank you. She says, are there any designers you would like to work with in the future? Oh, that is a difficult question, Ali. I mean, every single designer I've worked with has brought something different to the page. So I quite like working with new designers that are kind of trying to make their stamp on things, which is quite nice. But every designer I've worked with that has brought something different, you know, to the project and made it really enjoyable. So I don't know that there's anyone in particular. I'm probably going to shoot myself for thinking of someone later. But yeah, there isn't anyone in particular that I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm sure, like I say, I'm sure my mind's gone blank and I will think of someone later. Sarah is asking, did you go to any of the film's after parties? So I think what you're talking about is a wrap party. If you're talking about the premieres, technically it's quite unusual for crew like myself to go to the premieres or the parties that happen afterwards. Some of the heads of departments do go, and sometimes the heads of departments take some of the kind of other crew to go, but I haven't been fortunate to go to any of those, unfortunately. But I have been to the wrap parties. Usually it doesn't happen quite as much anymore, but we used to have wrap parties after every film, and some of them have been pretty amazing. And those are the kind of, I guess I should add that to my wow moments, because that's really quite special when you get to go and experience these kind of crazy, lavish things and just have a really good time with your colleagues after usually a hard push to get the film out there. So yeah, wrap parties I've been to a little bit. So thanks so much for your questions. If you do have any more, pop them in the comments and I will get back to them as soon as I can. I will also pop, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but I will pop time stamps as well for the different questions in the description when this video goes live. Thanks so much everybody that's joined me, and thanks so much for all the questions that you sent me in before this live. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future tutorials, and I hope that I can inspire you on your next project. Thank you very much. Bye.